prices rise over time. Okay. GDP, nominal GDP, is the value of all final goods and services produced in a year. Okay. What that means is we literally count up the number of widgets that every firm produces, whether it's widgets or whatever their product is. We multiply it times the price at which they sold their product, and we add that up for every good and service in the US. And that number is GDP. Okay, so it's a large number. Now, the problem is that most of our statistics are available as nominal figures, but most of the time what we need is real figures. Okay, let me tell you why. All right, let's see. Tiffany, what year in school are you?
Sophomore.
Okay. Let's see. Aaron, what year in school are you?
Oh my God. Sophomore.
Darn. Mariana?
Sophomore.
Wow. This is a lot of fun.
Me too. I'm a sophomore.
Okay. Well, that's not helping me. Okay, I'm gonna pretend that you're seniors. Okay. And you're excited because you just got a job offer, effective the month after graduation. So you get a month off to party, and then you go into the real world. And that's the end of your life as you know it. No, sorry, just kidding. Not really. Keep your mouth shut there, Jamie and Rose, please. Okay, so you're excited because you got a job offer that pays $35,000 a year in Fredericksburg. Woohoo, you're rich. Okay, now, that was 2 days ago. Yesterday, you got a second job offer. This is $40,000. Things are getting better, aren't they? But the $40,000 job is in New York City. Which job should you take if the money is the only thing that matters?
Depends on the cost of living.
What's that?
Depends on the cost of living.
It does. And how does the cost of living in Fredericksburg compare to the cost of living in New York?
It's probably a lot lower.
It is a lot lower. Okay. So $40,000 in New York is much less than $35,000 in Fredericksburg. Your real income would be much lower. Okay. So you need to compare the cost of living in order to make good decisions. All right. And that's what real income measures, is it measures your paycheck adjusted for the cost of living. Okay, let me give you another example. The reason why economists pay a lot of attention to GDP is because how much firms are producing is very highly correlated with the number of jobs. Okay, so when firms produce more, they hire more workers. And that means more people have jobs and the unemployment rate goes down. Okay, now, does that make sense, Morgan? Okay, so what if firms produce the same amount of output, but they just mark the prices up? Are there going to be any more jobs? The answer is no. Okay. If firms are producing the same output, they need the same amount of workers. They can raise prices or lower prices, and that doesn't affect the number of people that they hire. Okay. So from an employment perspective, we care a lot about real GDP, that is GDP adjusted for inflation, because that's highly correlated with employment. Okay. Nominal GDP can go up or down and have no effect on employment. Okay. So it's really, really, really important as an economist to pay attention to real GDP. And when we talk about the growth rate of the economy, the percent change, we're always looking at the percent change in real GDP, not nominal GDP. Okay. So the question is, if I give you nominal GDP and you need real GDP, how do you make the translation?
There's a formula.
Of course there is. Okay, so what's the formula?
I have it in my notes.
Okay, it's a really, really simple formula. Nominal equals price index times real. Okay, nominal equals price index times real. Here's another way to think about it. Value equals price times quantity, right? If the firm sells 100 widgets at a price of $5 each, the value of their output is 5 times 100, 500 bucks. That's nominal. Okay, we do the same thing with GDP. Okay, now, suppose you have nominal GDP and you want real GDP. You can take that formula and say to yourself, okay, nominal equals price index times real. What if I divide both sides by the price index? Then on the right-hand side, the price indices cancel out, and you're left with Q, you're left with real GDP. So what the formula then would say, real GDP equals nominal GDP divided by the price index. That's the way you go from nominal to real, no matter what you're looking at. It can be income, it can be GDP, it can be consumer spending, it doesn't matter. The formula is the formula. And even somebody who doesn't like math can do that kind of math. At least I hope so. Okay, so what we call that process deflating nominal GDP. Think about it. What inflation does is it blows up the number. It doesn't explode it. It inflates the number for GDP. It's distorting what's actually going on. It's making it look bigger than it actually is, right? So to undo that, we quote, deflate it, poke it with a pin. No, just kidding. Instead, we divide it by the price index. Okay, so there are different price indices. You use the one that makes the most sense. In this particular instance, it would probably be what we call the GDP deflator, which is the average price of everything included in GDP. All right, any questions? Well, the fact that you guys are still awake suggests that I didn't do a terrible job, but we'll see. Okay, now that's last week. Let's move into next week. Next week, we're going to start talking about the role of government in a market economy like the US. Okay, and we're going to start that off with an online discussion on Twitter. And we're just going to try to figure out what is government? What does it mean at its most basic? All right, so I will send out a prompt tomorrow. And in the meantime, you should think about how would you define government in your own words? What does that mean to you? And we will discuss it and we'll go from there. Okay, I'll give you a little heads up. And I'm looking at the course outline here. One way to measure the role of government is to look at the government budget, okay? Because the government budget reflects the priorities of legislators about what the government should be involved with, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at federal budget and state and local budget so you get a sense of where your tax dollars are going, right? Because that stuff matters. Even if you live in Maryland. All right. What questions do you guys have? That's all I have for tonight.
I have a question about the syllabus.
Yes.
So on the syllabus, it says to read sections from fiscal policy.
Yes.
But in a few weeks, we read fiscal policy. So
yes.
do we just read those from fiscal policy and don't take the quiz or anything?
That's what I would do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the ones that I asked you to read are all about the budget.
Okay.
Okay. So so we're going to talk about the budget as a way of understanding what the government does in the economy. But shortly, we'll start looking at fiscal policy, which is how the government uses budgets to try to manage the level of economic activity. Okay, so I would just wait on the module quizzes.
Okay.
If we have our meeting set with you, Do we have to bring anything, or we're just trying to get our points back, right? That's it.
Yes. Well, what some people do is they figure out what they're going to say before they come in, so that when I say to you, okay, tell me why answer 3, why B is the right answer for answer 3, then you will have thought about it beforehand. You know, you don't need to bring anything other than your brain. But if you go, I don't know, then I'm going to feel like you're wasting both of our times.
Okay.
And you wouldn't want me to feel that way.
Mm-mm.
It's like when I do advising. I had a freshman come in today and said, so how does this advising thing work? How do I get registered? How does this all work? You know, now, if that was a senior doing that, it would have been annoying. But I know that freshmen, lots of times, they're not with it yet. So, and some transfer students too. Just saying.
I actually walked into my advisor's office and said that.
Okay, other questions?
Are you?
Say that again. I lost
Thank
you.
I just think thank you.
Okay. Well, if there are no more questions, I have a fire alarm to go set off in my kitchen.
That wasn't me. That was Paige.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
She was cooking.
You tell Paige I'm disappointed in her.
I will.
So, all right. I will let you guys go. Thank you for staying around, and talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Yep, bye-bye.